Working without a recovery truck in a business that was now starting to focus a lot more heavily on vehicle salvage, as well as the usual scrap metal clearance and dealing, needed some careful thought. I had removed the large, heavy duty winch from the Ford Transit before it was sold and now bolted it to the Bedford TK flatbed. Those enormous ramps were fine for transporting plant or farm machinery, but dreadfully heavy and cumbersome when loading cars in tight spaces. With a day of heaving them up and down, I mean needing a truss and a long lie down. Something had to be done. With the assistance of my cousin, we came up with a rudimentary underlift that could be fitted to the tractor on its 3-point linkage. One could now reverse up to a car, lower the big hook, attach chains to the car's front cross member, and on lifting, the vehicle would tow along behind, its front fully suspended. This was by no means ideal, but meant I could fetch cars out of fields and other awkward places locally where a road vehicle could not get access. One of our neighbours up on the hill had amassed rather a collection of old junk in his fields, plenty of rusted out metal items, a dozen or so cars, and a large capacity Renault diesel van. Access was strictly tractor only. It was a case of bumping along a rutted track up onto the steep hillside, then dropping down over the brow of the bank through a field gate. I took the tractor and trailer for the loose stuff, handballing it on until the load was heaped high. As it was only about a mile each way from our yard, I kept going up with the tractor, underlifting the cars and dragging them back one by one, kicking and screaming, so to speak. Having been there, sat in one spot quietly, becoming one with nature again for so long, several began to disintegrate en route, leaving lumps of rusty metal and in one case an entire rear subframe on the way. Because of the steep incline coming back up out of the field, it was a crawling bottom gear job. The old tractor managed it just fine, despite having half a car hanging off its 3-point linkage. With just the van left to come, I got a little cocky. When hooking it all up, ready to underlift, I discovered that revving the tractor's guts out was the only way to make the pump produce enough power to even lift the van's front end off the ground. I should have read the signs. It was just too heavy. The youthful exuberance of a 20-year-old took over, though. Crawling up the field, black smoke snorting out of the tractor's exhaust as it dragged the dead van, its rear wheel still locked and sliding on the grass. I could feel the front of my venerable steed was now only just about making contact with the ground. Burying the throttle to its stop, the duo climbed up out of that field. I could not see where I was going, nor steer, for the front wheels of the tractor were now a good 3 feet off the floor. Towards the top, I had to drop the van to the deck before the whole lot tipped over into the ditch, running alongside us. I kept going, for to stop now would have been madness, as the tractor would never have got moving again, or might even have not howled on its brakes. With the final few yards done, we crested the slope. I shut the engine off and got down from the seat, needing a breather for after all the diesel fumes. Halfway down the bank, I could see a rear van door had dropped off, allowing a couple of ancient washing machines to have rolled out from inside. I thought it best to retrieve those a bit later, figuring this had been a close enough call. Future escapades with the tractor and underlift were kept with just cars and not commercial vehicles. Big John had passed his driving test, buying a Subaru pickup to tool around in. We would go out in it most evenings, shunning Morris Marina coupe travel where I could, this in a vain effort to combat the paucity of female interaction it seemed to be causing. The early months of 1997 were pretty chilly. I had the diesel freeze up on the Bedford one January afternoon on my way back from delivering a car out in rural Herefordshire. This was the first time it had been cold enough for that type of crisis since I had been driving lorries. Nevertheless, we would still go out in the green Subaru of a winter's evening to various hostelries, getting round and seeing people in case a bit of business could be done. After one evening nosing around, Big John was dropping me off at home when Father rushed out to say there was a message. Could we go and rescue my friend Heidi and her cousin as their VW Polo bread van had broken down after a night at the cinema? It was very cold and nearly 11 o'clock by the time we arrived. Heidi's father, Terry, had arrived to take them home, so it was left to me to pilot the stricken VW on a length of wire rope, whilst John towed it in the Subaru. I had never been towed behind him before, it always being vice versa. I like to think I am quite a considerate smooth driver when dragging someone else behind me. Big John, on the other hand, being not long a licence holder, went at it like a bloody nutter, snatching the rope taut away from junctions, powering around roundabouts and parked cars, slamming on the brakes when least expected, At one point, we hit 60 mph on a stretch of B road, the whole thing like some drug crazed late night video game on freezing icy roads. Because the engine was dead on the VW, I couldn't keep the screen defrosted easily. When we came to the junction I expected us to take in order to turn for Heidi's home, he powered on past just as I was about to brake and turn left. We ended up going the long way round, arriving back to deposit the car into their drive well after midnight. By the time John dropped me back home, my eyes were still out on stalks, having steered a car through the night on 8 foot length of wire rope over 10 miles in constant fear of rear-ending the arse of his pickup. Hello there. Thank you for watching my video. If you've enjoyed this one and would like to see a few more, please subscribe to the channel and also share. It is appreciated. It does mean a lot. All the best. Take care.